But night one really was all about Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton with, of course, Pat McAfee in his corner. And this was a highly controversial, highly polarizing, as John Cena put it, main event. It was one of those main events where people were coming in and they were asking what's going to happen, but they were also asking, do you think it's going to be good or do you think it's going to be bad? People were worried that it was going to go poorly because they weren't sold, or I don't know if they weren't sold, but they weren't sure of what was going on with this whole Pat McAfee storyline or how this all happened. And to me, I mean, and I think that this starts to come where we walk in with certain expectations, right? I mean, everybody who's got the internet goes, well, Pat McAfee's going to be at Backlash, right? There's going to be some celebrity tag match, and that's where we're going for Backlash. And Pat McAfee said that if Randy Orton loses, he's not going to be back in WWE. So Randy Orton's not losing, right? And so everybody kind of starts to tell the story in their head already before any of us really knew what the story was. And instead, what we got was Cody Rhodes beating Randy Orton. But it was a different type of Cody Rhodes. It was Cody Rhodes that for the second year in a row got booed in Las Vegas at WrestleMania, even though he was walking in the babyface. But this time, Cody leaned in. I want to focus on the story of Cody Rhodes in this match. Well, there's a few stories being told, right? There's Randy Orton, there's Pat McAfee, there's Cody Rhodes. And we saw character development from all three. Now, I think it's hard. We're gonna start with Pat McAfee because Cody Rhodes is really where I want to dig my teeth into it. Pat, it's hard for people to believe that this is it, that he's done, that he was just here for a short storyline. I think people wanted to believe that there was a bigger play here. I think people wanted to believe that there was some kind of corporate war that they were going to build to, that there was going to be a TKO faction and a WWE faction, and it was going to be Triple H, and it was going to be The Rock, and this is going to happen, and that was going to happen, as opposed to this being a Pat McAfee story. Because Pat, and he posted something, I believe it was this morning, he posted an image of his first in-ring WrestleMania. You know, he was on the WrestleMania 35 pre-show. But his first real performance at WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 38, where he beat Austin Theory, then lost to Mr. McMahon, then got stunned by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, the level of living the dream that Pat McAfee is doing, you cannot overstate. And he posted, the second picture that he posted was getting RKO'd at WrestleMania. The heavy implication being this was the WWE run. That this was all set up. And maybe it was, right? Like, ultimately, as much as we go, oh, this was about selling tickets, which, by the way, everything that happened at WrestleMania was about selling tickets, whether they say it literally or not. Every single decision that gets made in terms of promoting something happening at WrestleMania is being done to sell tickets. That's why they do things, to sell tickets, right? The reason we promote things happening on this channel, Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7, is to get people to listen to it. The reason they promote things going to WrestleMania is to sell tickets to WrestleMania. That's the live event business. But what if this was a story of, and I don't know, but what if this was a story of Pat McAfee going, hey guys, I'm done. I think I'm done doing the wrestling thing. My career is taking other turns. You know, I'm starting this Hollywood thing. I'm doing this daily show on ESPN. I'm Mr. College Football now. Like, I'm done with the wrestling part of my career. I love it, but I'm done with it. And they said, hey, Pat, what if you give us this storyline so we can get one more story out of you before you call it quits? And he goes, okay, if I can do this story and go out this way, then I'll do that. If I can go out as a heel, I'll do that. Because that's what Pat would do. Pat didn't get to ever be a real heel. And Pat loves being a heel. So there is this, look, there is a version of me that goes, this is all nonsense, right? He's like, he's working. He's pretending to be retired. He's going to show up at SmackDown again. They are going to build this thing. It's going to be really annoying. That's possible. But at the same time, this story could have just been Pat being like, I'm done. And WWE being like, well, hey, can we get, one more story out of you? And Pat going, yeah, but I want to do it this way. That's possible too. So this could have been not just Brock Lesnar's last WrestleMania. That's so funny. This could be the retirement of Brock Lesnar and Pat McAfee, or it might not be the retirement of Brock Lesnar or Pat McAfee, or it might be the retirement of one or the other. I mean, even though it was stated, it's actually impossible to say. But that's maybe part of what was happening here. For Randy Orton, Randy, I feel like, goes into this match. The story that I got of Randy Orton in this main event was that Randy goes in as you know, the Viper, as the killer, as voices in his head. You know, I still don't know why on earth he said wrestling has more than one royal family, unless, you know, Pat's, you know, going to get his kids involved at some point. They're very, very young. I think one is expected and the other is a baby. So I don't know who the royal family would be, but like Randy, I think, realized in the match that maybe he wasn't as effective as he needed to be. That maybe he wasn't the Viper. The Viper didn't have any friends. The Viper was about ruining people's lives. And I think that Randy, when Charles Robinson got taken out and Pat McAfee comes running down the aisle in a neck brace after getting put through a table by Jelly Roll and counts to the 2, and then Cody kicks out and Randy just RKOs Pat McAfee. I think that was the moment that they lean into the fact that Randy's getting cheered. And I also think that was the moment that Randy realizes he's made a mistake here, that he's been going down the wrong path. That writes off this idea that Randy and Pat are a partnership, which is why I think it lends credence to the idea that Pat's actually done. Because Pat's not going to a show where he's going to partner with Randy Orton. Number one, he's in a neck brace. Number two, Randy Orton RKO'd him. It's over. Randy realized he made a mistake in that moment. But Cody didn't make a mistake. The story of Cody in this match, to me, was fascinating. It was my favorite story. Watching Cody take all these pages out of Randy Orton's book, because we were so transfixed on everything going on with Pat McAfee and Randy Orton and TKO and tickets and the Attitude Era and all this nonsense that was happening. We weren't listening to what Cody Rhodes was saying. Cody Rhodes was sitting there and he was telling us what he was going to do. After Stephanie McMahon slapped him in the face on Monday Night Raw and Cody Rhodes said, "Thank you," Cody said, "I've got voices in my head and you don't want to hear them." Cody said Randy was his mentor. You know what you do with a mentor? Hopefully, you learn from them if they're effective. And what did Cody do? He showed up at WrestleMania, and if you've been watching what Cody has been doing, he learned not just from every mistake that he's made, but more specifically from Randy Orton. Everything Cody did in that match was out of Randy Orton's playbook. Not just the moves, because he did all of Randy's moves. The aggression was out of Randy's playbook. And to me, the last thing that was out of Randy's playbook was the way Cody won that match. The reason that Randy was the number one contender going into WrestleMania to Cody's title was because Randy won the Elimination Chamber. How did Randy win the Elimination Chamber? Well, Randy noticed that Drew McIntyre was interfering in the match. Drew McIntyre was in the match. He didn't beat up Cody. Cody got the better of Drew McIntyre. But instead of waiting for Cody to be ready, Randy turned around and dropped Cody while he wasn't paying attention, took advantage of the one moment, and then boom, dropped Cody like a bad habit, beat Cody, and won the Elimination Chamber. Cody finally learned. He learned how to defend the title. He learned how to not trust people. He learned the things that cost him at WrestleMania 41. He learned the things that have been a part of every heel turn. It started when Randy went for the low blow. Randy went to kick Cody in the nuts. Again, these poor nuts of Cody Rhodes that won't stop getting kicked. Randy went to kick him, and Cody stopped the kick. Not this time, Randy. Never again. And then how did Cody finish the match? he finished the match by noticing that Randy was so busy RKOing Pat McAfee. The same way at Elimination Chamber, Cody was so busy taking care of Drew McIntyre that Randy was able to take advantage of Cody. Randy was so busy taking RKOing Pat McAfee that Cody was able to take advantage of Randy. Cody used the Randy Orton finish from Elimination Chamber to beat Randy Orton one PLE later at WrestleMania. Cody used every Randy Orton trick up until the last hit. Cody did not worry about the boos. If anything, he leaned into them. But it wasn't just Cody working heel. It was Cody working like Randy Orton that allowed him to do this. It was Cody knowing everything that Randy Orton was going to do. Every part of Randy Orton's offense. Cody was aware and ready for all of it and used it against Randy Orton. And that's why I think ultimately, and it wasn't a heel turn, right? These things aren't always as linear as you want them to be. And I don't think, honestly, I don't think we need a heel Cody. I think we need Cody that has a bit of a mean streak. I think we need Cody that has a chip on his shoulder, right? Cody did an interview that we were talking about on Thursday. He did it for Sports Illustrated. And he did this interview, and in the interview, he mentioned a clip from this show, from Notsam Wrestling Live, when yours truly, Sam Roberts, was talking to my assistant Danielle, and I was explaining to her the whole story of Cody Rhodes and who Cody Rhodes really is and why Cody Rhodes is important and where Cody Rhodes came from. And he said in the Sports Illustrated interview, and he said this not in a promo, not as a wrestling character, but just as himself. He said, I think I forgot that. He said, sometimes I don't think about that. But I'm thinking to myself, as I'm watching this match, what would I be like if I literally changed the wrestling industry and did everything I said that I was ever going to do, and then showed up in the spot that I promised I would be in, that the fans encouraged me to get to, and then heard them booing me? How would I feel? I'd have a chip on my shoulder bigger than any chip in any casino in all of Las Vegas. I would feel a certain type of way about it. It wouldn't make me a bad guy necessarily. It wouldn't necessarily make me a villain. But it would make me go, okay, if that's how we're going to play this game, okay. We're booing now? We're going to pretend that I didn't do what I did. We're all going to focus on Randy Orton punting legends. We're not going to talk about what I did, how I got here. We're not going to talk about that? Okay. And then you go, well, look at my entrance. Look at all the different gear that I wore. Look at the journey that I took to get here. We're not going to talk about that? We're going to act like I'm a company guy? That's what we're going to do. Like I didn't walk out on the company. Like I didn't create another company to compete with this company. We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to call me the company guy? Okay, look what I do now. Look what I do now. I'm taking no prisoners. That's what I like. Not a heel Cody Rhodes. A babyface Cody Rhodes that has made the decision that it's time to take no prisoners. And I feel like that's who Cody was at WrestleMania. And the way that he got there was by taking every play out of Randy Orton's book. And Randy Orton realized it, but he realized it too late. When Randy Orton got pinned by Cody Rhodes, he realized that he had not just gotten beat by Cody. He had gotten beat by everything that he taught Cody. He had gotten beat by being a mentor to Cody. That Cody had used every trick that he had created against him, and he didn't see it coming because he was too worried about driving around in pickup trucks with Pat McAfee. And so at that point, he snatches that title away from Cody Rhodes, hits him with the belt, and punts Cody Rhodes. And at some point in that exchange, it looked like Cody Rhodes got a legit injury because there were pictures. First of all, him walking up the ramp on the post show with like half of his face all messed up, his eyes swollen shut, bleeding. I said, I don't remember that happening during the match. And I guess it happened at some point, either getting hit by the belt or getting punted or whatever it was. Legit. Because then it gets announced that he's on the injured list, that he's not cleared to compete. And then there were pictures of him floating around from, I don't know, some meet and greet that he must have done yesterday on Sunday, and his eye is completely swollen shut. It's just black eye of the century. So, I mean, he got his licks from Randy Orton for sure. But I think that moment at the end of the match was done to showcase that Cody didn't turn here. Cody didn't turn heel. Cody just did exactly what he needed to do. Cody learned from Randy Orton. Cody realized that people were doubting him. And maybe, and I think it's a unique place for Cody to be in, where it's like, if you're on his side, then great. But if you boo him, that's going to be to your detriment. And Cody's just going to be Cody Rhodes. And he's going to do it every time. And that's because that's what he's always done. That's who he's always been. And that's how he got into the position that he's in. So, I was able to take all of that away from the Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton exchange. And I liked that story. I liked that story was told. We got there in a convoluted way. But like last year at WrestleMania, that's a main event gone wrong. John Cena and Cody Rhodes. When you're just sitting there and you're like, what? Rock wasn't there? Why did Travis Scott come out? The match wasn't even that good. I guess now John Cena's the champion. Where are we supposed to go from here? What does this even mean? You just left kind of feeling empty. I did not have that feeling leaving the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton match. I know that feeling. There have been plenty of times where I've gone to bed. This is the level of wrestling fan that I am. I know when it doesn't work, because I go to bed and in my gut, I feel empty. I know how great wrestling can be. That's what I say to myself. I know how great wrestling can be. Why would they do it like this? Why did they do it like that? Why would this be the direction that it went? I didn't have that feeling at all after the main event of night one. It was what it was. It was a different type of story. It was not Roman and Punk, but it was a story that I liked and an evolution in Cody Rhodes that I liked.